All right, this is the TA-680 handheld radio. So this radio has got PoC, which gives you Australia-wide repeater coverage, basically out of the radio, out of the box, wherever there's Telstra coverage, and it also gives you a UHF radio as well. So this one comes pre-programmed with all 80 UHF CB channels, as you can see down the bottom. Now I'm now on channel 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, whatever. You can scan, push and hold the star button on the keypad, and as you can see, I've got it programmed to scan certain channels. You can scan the whole lot if you want, all 80 channels, or just specific channels. You can also program this radio with receive only channels. So right now I've got the Tweedhead's ambulance frequency programmed in there, 468-625. Don't worry about the TX, it can't actually transmit. I don't know if you can hear that. There's an error tone. So it won't transmit. There's no transmit light coming up. So it's receive only. That's the ambulance repeater heartbeat. You would have just heard that. Can toggle back to CB. So channel 29 is like the truckies channel for northern New South Wales, I suppose. Out in the country they can use channel 29 or channel 40 mostly. Okay, now the top bit's what we want to concentrate on. Tweed Shire, talk group 210. So what we can do, we can actually go in and turn off the UHF side. So working mode, at the moment it's on dual mode, which means PoC, or push to talk over cellular, which is the Australia-wide repeater network. You can have analog only, which is the UHF. You can have IP only, which is the PoC network and nothing else, or you can have dual. So it was on dual mode because you could see both and you can hear both before, UHF and PoC. We'll go back to IP only, just to save a bit of confusion. Exit out of the menu. As you can see down the bottom, analog off. So the UHF side's turned off, so all we need to worry about is the top bit. Okay, now Sam from 2Air, he reprogrammed this really on the fly for me last night at a last second sort of request. He's accidentally renamed this radio Shire 1. I've got a council Shire, local council Shire, looking at this network as well. I think it's Richmond Valley Council actually are looking at this radio network to replace their VHF radio system that they have in all their council vehicles for roadworks and waste collection and traffic controllers and everything. So anyway, that aside, this has been programmed so I can demo this to both the Richmond Valley Shire Council and you guys at Tweedhead's District Rescue Squad. So the name of the radio, where it says Shire 1, this is the actual name of this radio. If I had a second radio, it might be called, in this instance, Shire 2, Shire 3, Shire 4. So you know what radio is what, and you'd issue a radio to each person so you know who had what radio. Now, in the case of Tweed District Rescue Squad, maybe I could use a pen if I can find it. This name up here where it says Shire 1, that can be easily renamed over the air. You can change it to Unit 25 or TDRS 25, TDRS 26, TDRS 27, or you could just have 25, 26, 27 as your call signs coming up, so everybody knows who's talking. Whenever you push the push to talk button on the side, the radios that are receiving it on the network, it'll come up and say Unit 25 is talking, or Unit 26, so you know who's pushing the button. So if someone screams out for help, you know exactly who it is. So that can be renamed, and that can be renamed over the air. You don't have to send the radio back, so you know, if you want to change things. Also, the programming of the PoC side of the radio, which is the push to talk over cellular, which is on the screen now, that can all be done over there. You can add talk groups, you can remove talk groups, you can add users. So if you get a new user and want to issue them a radio, you can remove users, you can change the radio name, and so forth. You can stun the radio if it's been lost or stolen, so no one else can use it. Although you'd probably want to use the GPS first to try and track it. As you can see, the radio's got GPS built into it by the green GPS. The blue flashing light that you just saw then, that indicates you've got network coverage. Also, you've got a signal strength bar graph over here, which shows your full strength, and it shows you've got a green 4G, which is full strength 4G. Obviously, you've got the time, local time and the battery meter over here. The main icon toggles by a button on the side, that bottom button, and that toggles between UHF, which is normally down here, or PoC. So depending on what you want to talk on at the time, you just push that button, and wherever that main icon is, that's the mode you'll be transmitting on when you push the button on the side. So you can listen to both at the same time, UHF and PoC. You can change the preference for what you want to listen to. So if you want to hear, go down here to advanced settings. So transmit selection, at the moment it's manual because I pushed that button on the side to change what I want to talk on. You can change it to automatic, so the last caller is what it'll automatically retransmit on, but it's probably easiest to leave it on manual. Now, receive priority, you can have it as IP, which is the PoC side of the radio network, as your priority. So that way, if anyone's talking on the UHF side, and then all of a sudden someone talks on the PoC side, they take priority. So you'll stop hearing the UHF transmission and you'll hear the PoC transmission. You can change it to analog. So if you want the analog transmission to override the PoC transmission, you can have dual, where you hear both at the same time. Sequence, I believe that is the whatever one was operating last. So if you were using PoC and transmitting on PoC, it would automatically make PoC the overriding preference. If you're transmitting on UHF, it'll make UHF automatically. Probably for Tweed District Rescue Squad, you're probably better off leaving it on IP. That way, if anyone talks on the radio on the PoC network, you'll hear them. Anyway, now as you can see, it says TG210 Tweed Ops. So just remember, Shire 1 is the radio name, and we can rename that to a unit number, call sign, whatever, for relevant to Tweed Rescue. TG means talk group. 210 is just a random number. I've tried to organise them as you'll see in the other document. Tweed Ops, so what I've done is basically simulated the government radio network. So to change a group, so if you want to change from the Tweed Ops group to something else, going to hit the menu, choose group, so you hit view. Right, now you can select your group in here that you want to operate on. So because I'm doing the two clients at the moment, or the demoing anyway, to Richmond Valley Shire Council and Casino, and also Tweed District Rescue Squad, there's a bit of both in here. As you can see, the display in the group setting doesn't show all the characters. I'm going to get them to work on that so that it will show all the characters. But for the time being, I've got TG1, TG3, Sam's actually programmed this back to front, but obviously you'd program TG2 after 1, so you'd have it in numerical order. That's the whole idea of having the talk groups, so they're easily navigatable. So for Richmond Valley Shire Council, for example, they've got talk group 1 as their dispatch channel, and you just push add, and as you can see, it's now changed to talk group 1 dispatch, which would be in their main office. We've also got, even though it's out of sequence, talk group 2, Shire Ops. So Shire Ops would be all generic traffic on the channel. So it'd be like an open network, radio network, where anyone can just talk to anyone else, everyone can hear everyone. So most of the users would operate on the Shire Ops talk group. The talk group 1, the dispatch, the idea of that is basically the head office in Casino would leave their radio on talk group 1. So what happens is they won't hear anybody else. So they're not going to get annoyed in the office by people randomly talking all day. But if somebody wanted to call the office to talk to them, they just change the talk group to talk group 1, and they'll get the dispatch, which is going to be in the main office, run on computer-based software. You can also program these hard buttons. So you could program the button number 1. If you push and hold it, it'll automatically change to the dispatch channel for you. So if you're on the ops channel, talking to Joe Blow about picking up rubbish, or there's a big pothole that's got to be filled somewhere and they want to call the office, they can just push and hold. It's not programmed in this radio yet. I forgot to program it last night. But if I push and hold that button, it'll flick straight over to talk group 1, and I can call the dispatcher in the head office and tell them my problems. Push the button again, and it'll go back to the talk group I was previously on. I've also programmed in tactical talk groups. So talk group 1 is a strategic talk group. Talk group 3 is, as you can see, it says talk group 3 ranges. So basically, the council rangers in casino will have their own talk group that they will stay on all the time and just chat to each other on. So if they've got problems, you know, they can just talk between themselves without annoying any other user on the radio network. They won't hear, and they won't annoy the garbage trucks. They won't annoy the road patrol guys. They won't annoy head office by their random chatter. But again, if they wanted to call the head office, like I said, they can have button number 1 programmed. So they just push and hold. It'll change to talk group 1 dispatch, and they can call the head office direct. Push and hold the button again, and they'll come back to their own talk group. So you could also do that with other sections within the Shire Council in this instance. So you might want waste collection on their own talk group so they can chat between themselves. You might want the traffic controllers on their own talk group so they can chat between themselves. Again, you program one of these keypad buttons, number 1 maybe, to take you straight to the dispatch channel to talk to the dispatcher if you have a problem. So that's what I've done so far. It's just a basic setup. Obviously, you can add up to 1,000 different talk groups if you want. Anyway, for Tweed District Rescue Squad, up here I've got talk group 210, Tweed O, which is Tweed Ops. So this is a strategic channel. So the idea is that everybody stays on this channel all the time, or this talk group all the time. So 210 is the Tweed talk group. Now it's numbered 210 because in the talk group setup, example setup I'm doing or suggested, in case the VRA statewide want to come on board with this, I've got talk group 101 to 200, 201 I think, set as state talk groups. So the commissioner might have his own group, state headquarters talk group, I suppose you could call it. Also separate incident talk groups if there's a national event, a statewide event that's happening, or a disaster event, whatever. So anyway, for Tweed District Rescue Squad, you'd stay on talk group 210 the whole time. Tweed Ops, Tweed Heads Operations. So it's a strategic talk group where you can just have everyday chatter on there. And you can also manage up to one emergency incident on this talk group. If a second emergency incident comes in at the same time, well, you don't, say for instance you've got 2 land searches underway and they're in 2 different areas, you don't want them getting mixed up with each other, because if someone at land search A locates the missing person and they call over the radio, we've found her, people at search location B might hear that and go, oh, everyone pack up, go home, they've found her, let's go. They mightn't realise that it's a separate, the other incident that was actually talking, because they mightn't have looked at the screen, or someone mightn't have said their call sign or whatever. So the idea is you separate each incident into a different talk group. That way there's no confusion whatsoever. Someone yells out, we need an ambulance, no one's going, where do you need it? They know if they're on that talk group, that's the incident they're hearing about. So like I said, everyday ops or everyday comms, and up to 1 incident managed on the Tweed Ops talk group. If you get a second incident at the same time, go to talk group 211, which is Tweed TAC 1. Now TAC means tactical. So you've got strategic talk groups and tactical talk groups. So tactical is like an incident ground talk group, fire ground talk group, I don't know what, a tactical talk group anyway. So what you do is you'd separate the second incident onto TAC 1. That way the people on the ops channel aren't getting confused with the second incident. Alternatively, what you could do is you'd have talk group 211, 212, 213 and 214, which is Tweed TAC 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you'd have 4 tactical talk groups. So the other thing you could do is, say the unit commander, I don't know what you call them, the unit captain, who mightn't be at any of these talk groups but wants to remain advised as what's happening, or if something happens he can be called and made aware of. He can stay on the ops channel, and you could separate the 2 incidents onto the 2 different tactical channels. So incident A would all switch to TAC 1, which is talk group 211. Incident B personnel will switch to TAC 2 or talk group 212. That way, if they need to call the unit captain, they can switch to Tweed Ops talk group and call him up and tell him what they need to, without him having to listen to all the all the operational chatter. You might be in the middle of a meeting or something, I don't know, having a coffee. And that's basically how you can manage it. It's actually probably sounds more complicated than it is. It's extremely simple, and it's exactly how the government radio network operates right now. So basically, if people can't get their head around how it operates, they shouldn't be using the government radio network when it comes in either. It's as simple as it's going to get for government radio network users, and all the emergency services, including SES, will all be on the GRN. I believe Tweed Rescue will as well, for dispatch. But that's dispatch only. You can't have inter-unit chatter on it, except on a simplex frequency or channel, which obviously you've got to be in radio range of that person to hear them. So this is where this type of network comes into its own. You can maintain your unit-wide chatter management, response management and so forth. This access is also transferable over to a smart app on a mobile phone. So if I've got the app loaded on my mobile phone and I want to go out for dinner that night, or if my radio goes flat for some reason, I've got a backup. All you do is turn the radio off, log on and open the app on your smartphone and log into that. And what it does is it transfers all of this information onto your smartphone. So it'll go back into the group you were in and everything else, and you can continue on using your mobile phone as your radio. So if you're out to dinner, you don't want to sit the radio on the table at the Chinese restaurant, where you can have your mobile phone there. If there's an incident happening and you want to listen to what's going on, you can just get a Bluetooth earpiece, or the earpiece that comes with your phone, stick it in your ear hole, and no one will be none the wiser. No one else, everyone will just think you're listening to music or talking to someone on the mobile phone. They won't know what's going on, so it's quite discreet. You've also got the distress button on this radio. If you push and hold this top button up here, it will activate a distress call, an SOS distress call, and it comes up with the location of the radio, because remember, it's got a GPS built into this radio that updates its location every 30 seconds. It updates the network, so every 30 seconds, everyone will know where this radio is. Also, if someone else hits their distress alarm on their radio, it'll come up on the screen and tell you what radio is in distress, and we'll have it programmed so it'll give you a latitude and a longitude. It'll also have like a basic compass on the screen with a dot, which shows you the direction from where you are approximately, and the distance away, how many meters away that radio is that's hit the distress button. It might be 10 kilometers away in a southeasterly direction. It might be 4 meters away in a westerly direction, but at least you know where to start heading towards to find that radio or that person with that radio. So that's it in a nutshell, in a real simple form. Hopefully this will be of some use to you guys, explaining how we can set this system up.